Crypto Kids, welcome back to another video. Happy Saturday, and if you're an American, happy Labor Day weekend. We had some breaking news regarding tariffs last night. So the appeals court in the US mentions that tariffs should be removed because they are unconstitutional. At this moment in time, tariffs are still in effect, but their future guarantee is in a massive question mark bubble. We right now don't know if tariffs will be banned and all existing tariffs will be removed. And well, I have an idea on what that would do for Bitcoin, so I want to discuss that briefly on today's update video. I also want to talk about what I see on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, go into Solana. We have some very good news for Solana overall, and I think that Solana can perform very well in this altcoin season, so I want to go over Solana. And finally, we want to go over how the S&P reacts to the Fed cutting rates, as we will very likely have a Fed cuts going into September, which is in officially 2 days' time. So if that sounds interesting, then make sure to watch this video until the very end. It's going to be a more chill video. Today is a Saturday, and I just wanted to go over some of the things that I thought were interesting, which I spotted on Twitter over the past 24 hours. So if you enjoy these videos, make sure to destroy the like button and subscribe to the CryptoKid channel. I'm actually expanding the CryptoKid team, and very soon we're going to start making more in-depth cinematic documentary style videos every once in a while, and I really think that you guys are going to enjoy them. It will be very high level, and I'm super excited about it because my passion is filmmaking, my passion is acting, and hopefully with the right team, we'll bring that expertise and a great way of storytelling to this channel very soon. So I'm very excited about it. And if you're a subscriber to this channel, then I don't think you're going to regret it. So stay tuned. Those videos are going to be fantastic. Enough said, let's go over the breaking news very quickly. I mean, I did mention basically what it is. The appeals court in the US said that tariffs, in essence, are unconstitutional, and that the president has overreached or overused his power as president, and they're looking into reversing the tariffs. If that happens, then markets, oh no, I just deleted the Bitcoin chart, then markets can potentially rally. The drop that was seen from January until April was caused by the introduction of these tariffs. If you ask for CryptoKid's personal opinion on what he thinks about tariffs, I think they've been a pretty good tool of bureaucracy. I think Trump has used tariffs in a very smart way. Did I doubt them at first? I did, but I think they've turned out to be a pretty good financial tool used in I mean, I said bureaucracy, but I mean foreign affairs. I think he's used tariffs as a very good tool. Right? And the price of Bitcoin has bounced from the 107 level to 108, so not a massive bounce. It's a $1,000 bounce on the news that potentially we could see these tariffs being removed. So the markets, clearly with Bitcoin being liquid and Bitcoin being trading 24/7, we can see the reflection of this news directly on the price of Bitcoin. The early reaction is that markets would be happy about tariffs being removed. So if that is the case, next week, the week after, whenever it's decided, that could cause a short-term rally in equities. And I just wanted to give you an update and a thought on that. When we go into the technical analysis on the daily time frame, things don't look good. And we've spoken about how things don't look good in previous videos. I want to make it clear that I'm not preaching that the top is in for Bitcoin. I don't want people to misunderstand my videos. I'm just highlighting that things are not looking to be in the best way. And when will I call the top? I will call the top if Bitcoin breaks below $93,000, which is the 54 simple moving average on the weekly time frame. Until or if Bitcoin does that, I'm not calling the top. I'm just positioning myself to make sure that I'm avoiding unnecessary risk. That's all I'm doing. Can Bitcoin tend higher? Can Bitcoin go to higher levels? I'm an advocate for that. And if the necessary levels, and the most important one being the 111, 900-ish price level, if that is broken back to the upside, then I think Bitcoin has a very solid chance of following the M2 money supply, which it has done in a over 90% correlation over the past year and a half. So we just need to really be looking in the short term here. If the 11.9 is flipped back to become supports, then my bearishness will fade away. But so far, I don't like how the price structure looks like. In the 4-hourly time frame, what is super important to pay attention to is the falling wedge pattern. Now, you don't really have to call the falling wedge. You can also make the case that it's a descending channel, but the important thing to focus on is the upper resistance. This resistance, this downtrend, has to be broken to the upside. If this is broken to the upside, it's also going to coincide with that 11.9 level, which we mentioned. Very good resistance. We will be bullish again. We still have the CME gap yet to be closed at $16,800. 95% of the time, Bitcoin closes CME gaps. So as soon as we break above this trend line, I'm going to be uber bullish on Bitcoin once more. We have to do this. We have to do this. So let's make sure we're watching the chart very closely. If these lower wicks are broken at 107, then the story is the inverse. That's where the bull and bear market support is on the weekly time frame, and that's going to suggest a potential correction to the 54 simple moving average at 93, 92K. What I'm emphasizing in conclusion is that the next few days are actually very critical for Bitcoin. Upper trend line marks the start of a bullish continuation, in my opinion, to 135, 140, and a break below the 107 marks the downturn to $92,000, $93,000. So we need to be watching this very closely. Regardless, if you're worried about your altcoins, I think altcoins will be doing quite well. We could have a short-term correction going to September with altcoins, Ethereum maybe down to 4K, 3.9K possible. But as Bitcoin flattens its rally, and as this market cycle for Bitcoin specifically comes to an end, I think altcoins will see that overshoot and massive continuation to the upside. You can see that this rally or this bull market, this parabola for Bitcoin has been much more steeper than previous bull markets, and that's happening simply due to diminishing returns. It's a fact. That is how Bitcoin moves. You have diminishing returns in every cycle. Maybe one day that's broken, but that's going to require the entire financial system to collapse. And is that going to happen in this cycle? It's unrealistic. So as Bitcoin flattens the curve, you can see that the S&P is following the market structure that we had back in 1996 and 2001. So the black line is representing the 2001 price action, and the pink line is representing the current S&P price action. There's a very strong correlation of 97%. I think the S&P is going to do what I think Bitcoin will do. You will flatten out, you will start tending, continue tending to the upside, and then in a few months' time, you will begin the bear market. And when that bear market begins, and during that time of consolidation, actually, I think altcoins will see that overshoot, like I discussed in previous videos, where the price actions of Solanas and the Ethereums will go up. We go into what is considered the altcoin season / banana hella, even though I think it will be much more muted compared to 2020. We will still see that overshoot in altcoins, and as Bitcoin starts tending with the S&P to the downside, that's when we begin the bear markets. So that's my base case. The Fed is cutting rates. When you go to the last time the Fed cut rates, obviously so vigorously from a very high point, it was back in the 2007 pre-financial crisis, and that accompanied a huge drawdown on the S&P. Do I think that's going to happen? And you also got it in the dot-com bubble, right? So the price action is very correlative on the S&P to the dot-com bubble. When the Fed starts cutting rates, the market goes into a downturn. Same thing happens in the financial crisis. I wouldn't be looking at the Fed cutting rate cycle to those two specific times. I would be more concentrating on what happened in 2019. You can see that 2019, you cut the rates, markets go up even during that consolidation, and when there is that severe rate cuts, you experience the huge drop to the downside. So what I project is going to happen, and this is very much speculation, so please keep that in mind. I think we can see one more rate cuts, right? We're going to get the 25 basis point rate cuts in September, most probably. Maybe we get another one before the year ends. And when we get the aggressive rate cuts going into Q1, when we have a potentially more politicized Fed, that could mark the downturn of the S&P. Okay, so that's what I think will happen. But going back to altcoins, during that plateauing of Bitcoin's appreciation, I think things like Ethereum, Solana, and a few other altcoins that we've been talking about, they will start going to the upside. Solana ETFs, they actually outperform Bitcoin in total inflows because in the month of August so far, the Bitcoin ETFs have outflowed a net amount of negative $750 million, where Ethereum has gained a whopping $3.9 billion, and Solana is up 53 million, even though the issuer of the Solana ETFs isn't a very well recognized issuer. Ethereum has a BlackRock behind it, Bitcoin is a BlackRock, and other names like Fidelity, but Solana doesn't. Right now, we're in the process of getting much more credible issuers that have access to more and more institutional clients. So their ETFs will be launched very soon, it looks like. We're getting very close. Fidelity has also done the S1. So I think we're going to have some very, very, very good boosts in Solana ETF inflows in the upcoming few weeks to few months, well, 1 to 2 months, and that will allow Solana to break above the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly time frame, break above the cup and handle, and head to $500. So I'm buying Solana a lot. I think Solana is going to be a very good performer. You're seeing already 50% of USDC's market share be on Solana rather than Ethereum or any other chain. USD1, the World Liberty Financial stablecoin, even though I'm avoiding World Liberty Financial coin, the stablecoin's adoption is primarily looking to be on Solana. It appears that they want to do some tokenization too. That looks like it will be on Solana. So I think overall Solana is going to be a winner, and I do have a lot of capital in Solana personally. Another altcoin that's surprisingly going to be getting many ETFs coming into it in the next few weeks or so is XRP. And when we go into XRP's price action, there is something to be looking into, and this is it's a classic triangle, right? I just don't, normally this is bullish, okay? Normally this is a bullish structure, but there is a huge RSI bearish divergence on the daily and weekly timeframes, okay? We are at support, so I'm not calling for the bears, but just be careful. Any XRP investors, if this line of support is broken, you're likely going to come back down to $2. So please pay attention to that line of support. If it's broken, then $2 can be expected. So just be careful. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. I don't have any XRP positions, nor do I own any XRP. That's why it doesn't concern me so much. But please be careful. If this line of support is broken, then you probably want to start potentially de-risking, as the price of XRP will likely come down to $2. The final two things that I want to talk about is, very quickly, some news that I found interesting. El Salvador is switching their Bitcoin wallet addresses, or they had one address where they keep their Bitcoin. Now they're going to separate it into multiple different Bitcoin wallets to hedge themselves against the risk of quantum computing. Basically, the TLDR is, if you have a Bitcoin wallet that has not done any spending, only receiving, that wallet, from what I can see, is protected from quantum computing, as the keys are not revealed to the public. But as soon as you start spending, then in Bitcoin's current model, technological updates, it won't be quantum proof. So quantum computers can technically hack into your wallet if your wallet starts spending Bitcoin. That quantum computing hacking narrative is still so far away into the future, at least another 5 to 10 years away from for us to get to that point of quantum computing development, to a point where they can hack into your Bitcoin wallet. But I think a lot of reserve or treasury companies and countries that own and custody Bitcoin, they will likely do the same thing, where they separate their Bitcoins into these new Bitcoin wallets so that they are quantum proof. And if you have a lot of Bitcoin, it's probably something that you want to look into. Finally, CZ yesterday said, things to avoid in crypto: selling the dip. The previous 2 times he said this, it marked the Bitcoin bottom or the swing low. FYI, he could be right again. He could very much be wrong this time, but it's just an interesting thing that I thought I would share with you. But guys, that marks the end of today's update video. I hope you enjoyed it. Nothing too crazy detailed, but I think it was a nice and easy watch for a Saturday afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you are. So thanks so much for spending your 15 minutes watching this video. Truly appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video tomorrow. So guys, take care, and as always, bye-bye.